Hey everyone, this is the Indian-SimRacer, and welcome to another one of my series of one of the leagues that I'm doing right now. It's a race, and I'm part of the Indian sim racing community, the largest GT7 sim racing community with over 1,000 members. It's called Sim Nation India, and we are doing a league specifically for uh, people with B and C ratings, the DR, and this one is fairly tricky. You may or may not have seen previous videos where I went live, where we did a series of different races. I didn't get a great finish. I got like P5, P6 in most of the races, and I don't want to delve into details in terms of like people getting in the way and well, kind of punting me off in the first lap, first turn itself. Me getting damaged because in all of these races we have a heavy damage, so which means if your front or rear bumper or any of these things are damaged, you have to pit and repair the damage, or you can also choose to continue the race, but you would obviously lose a lot of speed and your turning and your basically your handling ability of the car based on the damage. And in case if it's a serious one, and if you get an engine damage, then you'll have to retire from the race. So these are some of the racing conditions, and this is the first time where we have rain in one of our races. This is at Fuji, and it's a 29 lap race, and there are about 13 people in the race, and two of them are racing in another lobby for now, and they will be repositioned in our lobby based on their overall standings. But yeah, let's see what I do. I'm not gonna pause this video. I'm just gonna start with the commentary. This we so none of us actually practiced the rains on this track, and we usually receive the weather conditions just maybe just like a few minutes before the race, like 30 minutes or an hour before the race, basically. And usually we've all like practiced for the whole day, and we just want to take a break, so no one really practices as much. And I basically got like a 5 to 10 minute run before the start of the quali, and I finished P4 in the quali. I got a low 132, and no, sorry, I got a mid 132. Yeah, and yeah, so I think P1 is a guy called Omelette Boy. He's Ryan. He's one of the fastest in our lobbies. He's actually the fastest in our lobby. And yeah, so usually there's a very good fight, and there are a couple of people you would see being intentionally dirty and unintentionally dirty. I'll explain all of those things along the way. I'm not going to pause the video. It's going to be one smooth video, and I may change the angle of the camera angle, basically just to show you exactly during the impact points, so that you kind of can understand what to do and not to do during a race. So yeah, here we go. I basically start on inters, and it's a rolling start, thankfully this time. And I think a lot of the people here are on wets. I'm probably one of the few who's on inters. I took a wider angle because not try and kind of brake far too early, and that gave an opportunity for velocity to overtake me. And I can already feel the traction is literally zero in terms of the friction between the tires and the road. And I am driving on TCS1 just to ensure that I don't spin out. And I think this is where I lose the lead. I should have probably just taken the inside line instead of going wide of North Ryan. You would see I'm being extremely and overtly cautious because of the damage and a few other things, and I'm also trying to do a little bit of fuel saving, which inadvertently you would end up doing in a heavy rain like this, where you'll end up short shifting a lot more instead of revving out on lower gears and coasting a bit more, just so that you don't spin out. But I'm actually doing it maybe a bit too much, so yeah, I go wide there. Yeah, and now starts the real laps. And now start the real laps. Okay, now this is the first lap. The end of the first lap. It's coming up soon. What I would suggest is for drivers who are relatively not that experienced on rain or in rainy conditions like heavy rains like these, you should start on wets and put your traction control to a +3, +4, even a +5, just to ensure that you don't spin out. If you can see at the bottom left hand corner, the moisture meter or the water level that's shown, right? It's actually about 55 to 60%. I would actually say it's about 70% to be fair, which technically means that people should be on mediums on this, because obviously in these conditions the wets are basically more faster than inters. I'm sorry, I said mediums earlier. I didn't mean mediums, I meant wets. Wets are faster in these conditions than IMs. The only reason I chose IMs is you'll see that very shortly. So we don't know how long the rains are going to last. I estimated it's probably going to last for like the first 5 or 6 laps, and then gradually it's going to be cloudy, and then obviously the track is still going to retain a lot of that moisture. So IMs deteriorate a lot slower than wets would. So my aim was basically to pit as late as possible, right? So that's the whole reason why I chose the inters. Like I said, I'm being overtly cautious. I'm almost 1.5 seconds, if not more, slower than what my usual pace would have been. Yeah, I take this turn fine. I'm just slightly slower though than I should have been. I'm actually slower on rains on literally almost every corner. I'm just too scared of getting a bad penalty or spinning out and getting a damage. The only reason for that is I didn't have the confidence to push the car during heavy rains, because I literally had no practice. None of us actually did. Well, I cannot comment on anyone else, but at least I didn't. Because I'm sure other people may have practiced in rain. Because obviously it was kind of a floating rumor around the league that there may be rain on this race, on this track. So I'm sure a lot of other people out there would have practiced sporadically in their own time, private lobbies, in rainy conditions, but I didn't. I again go super wide, but I slow down. The reason is, if I hadn't slowed down, I may have received a penalty. And you can see on the bottom right hand corner, Mudit, the guy in P6, tried overtaking me, but I kind of defended my position without being dirty. He again tries to overtake. Again, I take a narrower entry just to ensure I get a wider exit, and I defend my position again. So the rains, as you can see, have slightly slowed down. It's still there. Well, it's heavy in certain sections, but the overall consistency of the rain across every corner is significantly reduced. It's still very much there, as you can see, but like in certain corners you wouldn't have as much rain. Mudit again tries to overtake me. I try to defend my position without being dirty. I give him some space, thinking, okay, if you want to overtake me, you can, but you have to take a wider angle and risk spinning out. And this time I hope I take the corner well, and I don't. Well, okay, it's an okay corner. I sometimes do some of these things also to throw the person at the back, like away from his game, throw him away from his game, because I would intentionally brake late, and I'm prepared for what's about to happen, so I will downshift accordingly. I will brake late but really hard and stuff like that. But then the guy behind me, who's already in my slip, would not know those things, so he would kind of end up overshooting the corner and not get a great exit, because he would, well, his brain and his eyes would be following my car rather than the track. Again, I take a bit wider entry. I don't cut that apex at all. I just don't. I trust the car. The car is great. I'm driving the Honda NSX GT500 GR2, the '08 version, not the new one. These are the older ones. So we have options between the Lexus GT500, I think it's called the LCF, again the '08 version. Then we have the Nissan GTR, again the '08 version, and we have the NSX. So we had a bit of a contest, and you know, based on the results of the contest, you get to pick what car you would want to have, and I chose the NSX. Again, Mudit is literally right there. Now, for some reason during replays, the distance between cars is not really shown at the top left-hand corner, so that's something that Kaz should take note of. The Polyphony Digital should take a note of. As you can see at the bottom left-hand corner, the track is still fairly wet. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, now is the time when I start pushing the car a bit more. I have a bit more confidence in the car. As you can see, I did a small blip there at the end, just before the turn, to see if the car oversteers or not, and it didn't. So I get a purple because I start pushing finally. I'm more confident in this turn as well. Again, the wetness of the track is still very much there. I am just a bit more confident. If I had just practiced on rains, even half an hour before this race, I would have been so much faster. I lost a lot of time at that point. But hey, I'm on purples, but you will see how I screw it up. I probably do somewhere. Yeah, maybe here. Let's see how I take this entry. Not bad. But I could have probably, definitely taken a lot more speed. This is where Mudit is trying to be on my inside, but I take a longer line, knowing that his car may not be able to handle the inside line without losing traction. He's on my slip now, and I've already gained a position. I think velocity spun out, and I've seen the replay, so I know exactly what happens. Velocity spun out because he tries to push the car, and he basically spun out. But kudos to him, he took a super safe re-entry back on track. He actually let like 3 cars pass him, um, right? And he did not get a damage, although it was very close to the wall. He could have hit the wall, but he didn't because he controlled the car somehow and his pace. He lifted off at the right time. So if you ever spin out in a rain or any, it doesn't matter. My suggestion to you all would be to lift off. Don't keep the throttle on. Lift off and just upshift and then brake gradually. I take a much better angle there. But I guess Mudit ends up overtaking me, I think because of that mistake, or I don't know. I think he ends up overtaking me, or maybe I defended, I don't remember. Yeah, he's now definitely on my slip. Like he's getting some serious slipstream. Yeah, you can see that he's overtaking me right now. And let's see what happens now. Okay, now I am on his slip. I prefer to be there because it's still, the race is still at its adolescence. It's like almost 21 laps more to go. So I'm not really super worried about not being able to keep up with Mudit. I just want to ensure that I'm on his slip while ensuring that I don't get dirty air. And the reason why towards my end of the race, or even when I pit, which I'll get to, one of the main reasons where I gained a lot of fuel is because I managed to stay on his slipstream, because of which I could save fuel. So the way it works is, for all those guys who don't know, slipstream is a phenomenon which occurs naturally during a race, especially during a motor car race. It also happens during like MotoGP, like bikes, but it's relatively a lot less. The reason why Mudit is going to the right is not for pitting. He is trying to get into water, but he fails to realize that there is enough moisture even on the left side to keep your tires cool. So I would do that from the next lap onwards, because the track starts drying up basically. So over here you see there is some moisture. There is a good amount of moisture even on the relatively drier patches, which means your tires will be cool and they won't start deteriorating or degrading at a faster rate. But the other issue is, if you do it like Mudit did it at a wrong time, where there was too much moisture on the right, and it can also cause your car to become wobbly or unstable just for a little bit, which ended up happening to him. You can just rewind the video and see what I mean. You'd see his car wobble, but he controls it pretty well. So it is about when you end up doing that. So you don't do it all the time. So you keep your eye on the moisture meter. I call it water level moisture meter, whatever you want to call it, of the track, and you would get a sense of when the level goes below the first bar, right? So I can tell that so this is the right time. So even I go to the right because I kind of saw on my peripheral vision that the water levels are much below, a little below the first bar, as you can see. So this is the right time for you to go to the better parts of the track to ensure your tires don't degrade faster. This works for all the tires, but the thing about the compound tires is, when I say compound, I mean the racing compounds. They would basically degrade if they need to maintain heat, because otherwise there won't be grip. But at the same time, too much of heat will also make them degrade faster, right? But the thing with the wet tires and the intermediates, so IMs and HW or wets. Oh, you could see that Velocity tried fighting me off, but I hold him off. And this is where I am doing my best to ensure that I induce a mistake from him by some of the tactics I just said earlier, like braking late and me knowing that I'm going to brake late, so I'm prepared for what's going to happen, but he's not. But anyway, I was saying that IMs and wets or HWs, heavy wets, they are basically not racing compounds. They're basically not compounds. So you need to keep them cool, and it's not about heating them up, right? I mean, yes, there's some amount of heat that should be there, because you cannot rotate well on cold tires, no matter what the tire type is, but especially on these. So I brake late there. So, but I think I kind of braked a bit too late, and I slide in there, which I don't think he's prepared for. So you see how I am able to create a distance between me and him. Unfortunately, what ends up happening though is it is putting some strain on my tires. You can hear the tire squeal. Unfortunately, I have to do that because I can't coast. I can't be gentle on the tires anymore, because there's some guy behind me trying to gain a position. Again, I show as if I am taking a wider turn, but I come in narrow. And I'm able to do that because you will not see it here on the replay, but my track radar is on. So I know exactly the distance that he has from me. So I know by doing that, I'm not going to impede him or collide with him. Again, I drift there just to basically get some speed and momentum. I go on the wet areas to ensure my tire doesn't heat up too much. And this is where Velocity is a little ahead of me at this point. You can see I slipped to P6, but see how I regained that position. Because he got a wider entry, so just see how I regain this position. I slide. Luckily, some of my tires, I believe, are still on the track, so I may not get a penalty. I could have gone for an inside track there, but I didn't. But you see how I got the dirty air from him? Yeah, that's what you need to be worried about, because that completely destabilizes your car. You have to maintain the slip, but you have to not be too close that you get dirty air. Slipstream is basically where there's a car ahead of you, so you're following the car at the right distance. Let's say about 4/10 or 5/10. Less than 4/10 or 5/10, right? But not too close. You don't need to be half a 1/10. Like, you don't need to be 0.5, or less, because then that you will get tires. You would basically get dirty air. So I'm on a slip right now, and I'm getting dirty air, so I'm just moving away, and I overtake him. And because he hasn't taken care of his tires, he has to pit a little early. And I think I probably do another lap. My aim is to do about 14 laps on 14 to 15 laps on the medium tires, which I will change to. But because of me remaining in different people's slipstream, I was able to conserve a lot more fuel than most of my other competitors. Well, they are all my buddies, but on a racetrack, they are competitors. So I'm sorry, I am super competitive. Now, at this point, I'm literally searching for water on track, as you can see. But at the same time, not overdo it. Like, I could have gone to the water there, but it's just in the wrong angle for me to get back. So now I'm pitting at the end of lap 13, I believe. Yeah, you would see, I mean, there's some guy called Stallion that I'm lapping. You would see him on the left. He probably spun out. That's okay, nothing wrong in that, as long as you don't impede other people. I could have done, I'm actually still at this point still thinking, should I do another lap? And then I'm like, nah, you know what, I won't. So Mudit decides to do another lap. Now here is where I believe my best strategy worked out. So I have to do 15 laps now on the mediums, right? So I have to conserve the tires, and this is the right time for me to pit because there's still some moisture on the track. And how much I refuel is also completely dependent on me finishing. I don't want to overdo it, so not carrying too much of weight, but I have to do it just enough to ensure that I don't basically overshoot or overestimate my fuel efficiency. But then I remember thinking, you know what, I'll just do a full refuel, because I'll just do almost a full or a full refuel, because I want to push. I don't want to conserve fuel. I don't want to drive like a being afraid of conserving fuel. I want to throttle the hell out of the car, and figure out a way to also conserve the tire. So right now I'm not trying to cool my tires because my tires are already cold, but I'm still I think I pitted in the right window. I think I pitted in the right window because there's still some moisture on the track, so I can exploit that to kind of keep my tires cooler. I'm not doing it now because I don't want my tires to be cold. I need these are again racing compounds. I want them to be I want them to have traction. Now obviously I didn't say it out there, but since lap 8 my traction control was at 0, and I think after lap 7 I believe my traction control was at 0, and until lap 7 it was at 1. Now I am on Mudit's slip. So this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to short shift now, because I am also very, very cognizant of the fact that I have 14 more laps to go and I don't want to run out of fuel. So I'm trying my best to stay on his slip and short shift, because I don't need to rev it, because the car ahead of me, which is Mudit's car, is so my tires are still slightly colder. That's why I didn't get enough traction there, but I'm managed to control the drift. Damn, DK from the movie Tokyo Drift will be proud of me there. So now I'm trying to enter into slightly cooler areas to kind of manage the tire degradation. I want the tires to be warm but not get hot, and because of that drift that I had, there would be some inherent heat. My tire would have piled up. So now I'm trying to do my best to catch up to him, because I do need his slip. I don't intend on overtaking him, not right now. and you can't tell it on the screen, but I'm gaining a few microseconds on him every second. And yeah, I just hope I don't drift again. That's what's going in my head, through my head. I don't care about getting the fastest lap. I think I end up getting a penalty, or maybe I don't. I don't know. Yeah, I do. Yeah, so that basically pushes me further back from him. But yeah, let's see what happens. So at this point, I'm thinking my fastest lap probability is gone. So I might as well conserve some fuel and some tires. So you see how I kind of coast there. I trail brake into that corner, but I kind of coast. I don't throttle. Yeah. And the one thing I hate about this track is the penalty line should have been somewhere there. You know, it's actually in a very precarious spot. If you once you get a penalty, it screws up your next lap as well, because you don't carry that much speed into turn one. At the end of turn one on sports, you should be able to do like a 280, and velocity just overtakes me, and I don't let him. He gives me a small nudge. It's not his fault. He slightly oversteered because I put him in pressure, trying to induce late braking and a wider angle of rotation, because he knew that I was on his inside line. I'm not going to give you guys spoilers in terms of where velocity ends up finishing and where I end up finishing, and and what was Mudit's overall position and situation of this race. But this is going to be an extremely eventful race, I promise you that. So keep watching. So this guy, Velocity, by the way, he's I think he's a 14-year-old kid, may have just turned 15 or will be turning 15 in a few months. And I remember thinking, who the hell is that guy ahead of Mudit? Where did he come from? And yeah, we barely miss him. I'm not going to rewind that, but you can just check it out. So Mudit barely ends up missing him, and so do I, and so does Ridan. Velocity, that's his name. So Velocity is on my slip and he's trying to overtake me. Again, I don't let him. This time I go for a wider angle, because I knew that he was going to be aiming to get on the inside, but I brake late, because of which I kind of end up compromising some of his exit speed, because he has to brake a bit more. Like, oops, and he's already on my slip, so he would be carrying a lot more artificial pace. So when you have a car ahead of you at the right distance, that car basically cuts the air for you, right? So the whole idea of aerodynamics is basically a race car basically needs to be designed in such a way that it cuts through the air, right? Because that's the air resistance, that's the whole thing. But you end up negating all of that, or most of that, based on your distance from the car ahead of you, because that car ends up cutting the air instead of your car, because the air passes around the car ahead of you, right? So your car, the engine doesn't have to go through a lot of trouble. Yeah, I see some moisture there, and I'm right, so I end up going there just to cool my tires a little bit. Yeah, so because the car ahead of you is cutting through the air um, instead of you, right? Your engine doesn't have to work that much to accelerate, to a certain speed. So you end up being a lot more faster, um, at least about 3 to 4% or 5% faster than you generally would. And because of that, and also the dirty air component, I didn't get traction. So this gives velocity a good amount of time to gain on me. And let's see what happens now. And this is the trick, right? The phenomena of dirty air. You don't just get dirty air um, when you're close to the car, but sometimes also during certain turns, even when you're not that close to the car ahead of you, right? So, oh, I control my oversteer there. I take a narrower lane just to throw off velocity, and I again try to go to the right, hoping there is some moisture left on the track, but evidently not. And the other reason why I end up going there is because I want to kind of position myself to take the inside line again, and I'm kind of inviting velocity that, hey, you want to overtake me, you got to do it on a wider line. I don't hit him, he doesn't hit me. This is called clean, competitive racing, smart racing as well. So the reason why I went on the right over there was to, in case if there is any iota or any moisture whatsoever, it will cool my tires. And most importantly, because I wanted to position myself right out of the bat to be on the inside line, because velocity was literally up my ass. I mean, literally at the back of the car, right? Literally there. So if he was at least 4 tenths or 5 tenths behind me, I would have probably not taken that line. I was saying if he was 4 tenths or 5 tenths more behind me than what he was, I would have not taken that line. Now this time I take a wider line, trying to invite velocity to take a inside line. I think he probably ends up doing that, but the reason is obviously he was on my slip. I braked late, and I ended up gaining a good amount of time because of that. You see how far away back he is from me? Based on my calculation and my remembrance, I think he's about 1.2 to 1.5 seconds behind me at this point because of that maneuver I did. And now my aim is to basically catch up to Mudit. I wanted to finish in top 5 come what may on this track, and try for a podium, because I did not practice for rains. We did not know the strategy or any of these things. I just made up strategy on the fly, literally. And that's one thing I think I have, a bit of a qualm, or I would say some qualms with the organizers of this league, that I would have, or everyone would have liked to have some of these race settings a day before the race. So I end up gaining on Mudit over there, and he basically took a wider turn, and I ended up taking the narrower turn, and I took that turn perfectly. You can just go back and see, and that allowed me to close in on Mudit. Oh, I again had an oversteer. I kind of downshifted late, which is why that happened. And because of that, I ended up losing some speed. But you'll see now, I end up gaining some. Yeah, I end up gaining a few seconds. I think at this point, Mudit is about 1.2 to 1.5 seconds ahead of me. And I think the guy ahead of him, I didn't know it. I didn't know it before time or beforehand or at this point. But I didn't know it then. But I know now. The guy ahead of him, his handle is Moon Shadow, and he's one of the cars that we, Mudit and I, and Velocity back there, we end up lapping. But the one thing that I don't appreciate is when you are being lapped, like, and you would know, you would obviously be very aware of your position. So let's say that you are, you are like P10 or P11, whatever your time is, and you see that a couple of cars are right behind you in the radar or the track map, whatever you have on. I prefer the radar. You would know that you are the slower car because you would just look back at the straight and you would know if it is Mudit or if it is Hellraiser, is it Velocity, right? And you would know that you will have to not fight for the position, just move aside. You're anyways being lapped. The problem is when you fight for the position, you end up giving dirty air. Like Mudit, I'm sure got some dirty air there, which is why he went a little wide. So every time he tries to overtake or I try to overtake, Moon Shadow here will fight for the position like his life depended on it. I mean, all this competitiveness is great, but you should also have some skill to back it up. And also the idea that Rayansh almost took us out, and I ended up taking a line which is very narrow, which is why I inadvertently end up going wider. So Rayansh evidently spun out and he literally was horizontal there. You can just rewind and go back and see what happens. And Mudit somehow tries, like avoids hitting him by going left, and I end up going right, hoping that he doesn't reverse. Now Mudit is trying to gain back his position, and I'm not fighting him. I'm just the line I took. He could have been a bit more aggressive and in the throttle and everything, and he could have gotten it. But you see that I will eventually end up conceding that position to him without much of a fight, because I think because of that Rayansh issue, we both end up missing our braking markers and our racing line for that corner, and I think I ended up clipping him a little bit, which I apologize for. I said and he agreed that it's not on me. But this is where I think sportsmanship really works. So if I had done it, like if I had totally thrown him off, like if Mudit was nowhere in the picture right now, I would have conceded my position to him a long time ago. But Mudit probably lost like 1/10 or 2/10 maximum. So that's not enough of an outcome for me to concede my position. Now, Moon Shadow, who is ahead of us, this guy, like I said, he's being lapped, and you'll see now how he ends up fighting for his position instead of just conceding his position. And both me and Mudit would get his dirty air. I try my best to overtake him, but I'm also very aware of the dirty air factor, so I don't even downshift just for the fear of that. I take the whole turn on second. I go a little wide again because of the dirty air and the slip, obviously. I think it's not the dirty air, it's a slip because I went wide. And that's also what happens. You end up carrying a lot more speed So yeah, and this is where I just tell him, hey, you know what, get lost. So I nudge him a little bit and see what happens now. This guy who spun, I avoid him, and Mudit at the end. Okay, I said I won't be rewinding this, but you wouldn't be able to see it any other way. I'll have to show it to you from that perspective. So this is from Mudit's point of view. So you would see now what's happening. So Mudit also loses balance, and while I avoid him, Mudit unfortunately ends up hitting him, and he does get damage, as you can see, on his front bumper. I also remember him cussing this guy. So what happens with the front damage? Two things happen. One, your straight line speed is compromised. Okay, and I'm going back to my POV because I took a bad angle. I want to show you that. Yeah, so what happens is it ends up compromising your rotation, and also obviously impacts your straight line speed. So on that straight, I will show you very quickly. I won't pause the video. I'll just show you quickly like his POV and my POV in terms of what speeds we are hitting. Right, so this is the straight. Okay, so Mudit is just coming up to the straight right now. He's on full throttle. Okay, and just before braking, what speed I hit? Right, at finish, we both hit kind of similar speeds, but I hit 277. Oops, I didn't do that clearly. Sorry guys, I'm not too good with this. Oh yeah, okay, because velocity ends up gaining it. So I hit, and velocity hits 280, and for whatever reason, I can't get the data on Mudit. So I'm just gonna put Mudit's POV now. Yeah, velocity overtakes him. So velocity obviously got a lot of Mudit's, slipstream, and he's again right up my tail. This is how far behind he is from me for now. I'm going to show you his perspective, velocity's perspective, and you'll know I am doing this very soon. So remember, 3 more laps to go. I'm P5, and I'm at this point I'm P4, sorry, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, I wanted to be in top 5, and I'm cool being here. But now I'm also thinking, okay, let me push my car more to try and get fast lap times, because I check my there at that point I hit that bollard because I checked my fuel map, and it basically, I was like, cool, I can basically do, instead of 29 laps, I can actually do 30 laps if I wanted to. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna push. So velocity is in a different car. I think he's on the Nissan, if I'm not wrong. I don't know, for some reason I took a wider turn. I should have cut that apex by at least 30%. And now he again tries to overtake me, but I don't give him any place. He is on my slip. I'm very much aware of that. So you can see now how he starts gaining position. So I kind of start weaving a little bit. That's another technique that I do to basically tell my opponent behind me that, hey, I'm unpredictable. But then he knows and I know that I don't do dirty. But then what I do is this. Okay. I know I told you I'm not gonna rewind this any more than I have to, but I have to show you what happens from my POV. On the second last lap, the guy ahead of me, Spiritus, I can tell that he is driving on a much lower fuel map, which means I can catch up to him if I want to. But well, both Mudit and Ridan passed me. Luckily, I managed to somehow stay in control of my car. But yeah. So when I saw Spiritus, like the P3 guy, when I see his car on that straight right at the turn 1, when I was there, I was like, huh, he's definitely low on fuel and he's driving on a fuel map 4 or fuel map 6 or something, some shit, where he is very slow deliberately. And I knew for a fact that I can catch up to him, and which is why I end up trying to push my car a bit more. But unfortunately, the turn that I took, I didn't take that turn. It was not a push turn. It was not a turn which allowed for me to push my car. You know, it was a normal. It was supposed to be a normal turn. In order for me to have pushed my car, I should have done a bit of a slingshot, but kind of, you know, like been very close to the right apex. But I ended up not doing that. And you can tell, sorry, velocity is closing in on Spiritus. And I am on Mudit's slip, and this is the final lap. So what I wanted to check is what speeds is Mudit carrying, like what is his breakpoint speed at T1 despite the damage. Yeah, you see, he is at 269, 270, and I, on the other hand, I don't have his slip completely yet, but I'm at 282. Yeah, I did get a good amount of slip at the end. So I decided not to fight him on that turn because again, I didn't want to crash him out, and I didn't want to, you know, end up losing position. And I did tell him on our voice party on the audio that if I get close enough to you, would you let me pass instead of fighting for the position? And he said, yes, if you get close enough to me, I will. And I said, okay, cool. And that's like a gentlemanly code. Like if I had damage and if someone is trying to gain on me, because I actually spun out. I mean, he did not catch me, I spun out. So it's like one of those sportsmanship type things, which he doesn't have to do, to be fair. But, you know. Oh, and he basically oversteers a little bit. So I wanted to show you something there from his perspective. So he turns in. You see how he oversteers to the left. So that's why I end up slightly kissing his car. And this is the turn where he deliberately goes to the left because he understands what happened. So, yeah, because it's not his fault. It's basically his front bumper. He can't turn in properly, and when he tries to turn, it turns more than it should. So this is where he ends up, conceding his position. And I remember at this point, I'm just telling him that, hey, try to stay on my slip so no one else can catch up to you. Because I didn't know how far they were from him. And I've got to show you what happens here, guys. So this is velocity, okay? He ends up getting P3. He tries to overtake Spiritus, and Spiritus, as you can literally see, is dying, and he has got damage. And velocity as well, he takes his slip at the final second, and he finishes the race. With Spiritus literally running out of fuel at this point. He's on 0 fuel right now. And I finish P5. And Mudit finishes P6. Yeah, and Yonko is P7. Sorry, that was my dog trying to kiss me. Moon is P8. Yep, so these are the different positions, and I hope you guys kind of learned from this race, and if you enjoyed it, leave a thumbs up, comment. Yes, this is not one of my finest moments. I should have practiced a lot more on reins, different compound tires, especially on IMs. Yeah, and I will not repeat the same mistake again. The next race, which is today, is on Glen Watkins, or Watkins Glen. I forget which one is that. Yeah, it's Watkins Glen, I think. And I'm supposedly good on that track, so let's see what happens. Usually in all of these qualies, I finish, I'm in the top 5 in the quali, but I hope that we did a practice lobby, a couple of practice lobbies with the same people for this particular track, which is Fuji, and I finished, I was P2, and first was always Omelette Boy, but I was just a few tenths away from him. And but then during the actual quali before the race, I was P4. And yeah, so I basically ended up losing a position. So I started P4, ended up P5. And let's see what happens in Watkins Glen. Hope and pray for my success. I want to get a podium for sure, but I'm not gonna lie, this is my best chance to even be P1. So let's see how it happens. Hopefully I don't pull a Ram. My name's Ram, by the way. What I mean by that is I hope I don't end up spinning, or I don't know, getting some silly damage, or fail to calculate my fuel accurately or things like that. So I hope that I don't screw up in any way. And Watkins Glen is by far my best opportunity. So I hope to see you guys there again. And if you like this video, hit and subscribe. Thanks, guys. Bye.